We now welcome on golf professional Eddie Fernandez, fast Eddie Fernandez. He's the 2018 Masters World Long Drive champion, ranking number 1 in the World Long Drive Masters division and number 14 in the Open division. His longest ball in competition is 480 yards, which was the longest ball of the 2018 World Long Drive Tour season and about 200 yards longer than my longest ball. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at FastEddie480. His website is fasteddy400.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So just off the bat, I need to know this. I couldn't help but notice that your website is fasteddy400, but your social media is fasteddy480. Did you change that when you hit 480? And how awesome did that feel to change your name there?
Well, here's the story behind that. So I've always kind of been Fast Eddie 400. So when I got my social media handles years ago, like I think it was 2014, Fast Eddie 400 was taken on Instagram. So, but I was able to get on on Facebook and Twitter. But Instagram, some guy in Europe. So I offered him like $100, and he had like 50 followers. He didn't really post much. I'm like, hey, look, I never heard from the guy. So I had to do Fast Eddie _400. And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to change it to 4. I think I changed it like within the last year. So that's kind of the story behind that. And I did my website at the same time. Like, I want everything to be the same. So that's why I changed it.
Yeah. Well, if it's not going to be the same, having 480 in there is also pretty cool, I think. So
yeah, that's not
worked out.
Like 480.
Yeah. So just to start off, Dylan and I obviously did our research ahead of the interview, but for the people listening, we were wondering if you could kind of just lay out your journey with golf overall. I know you were kind of a star in college. You spent a bit of time trying to get on tour before stepping away for a little bit, and then kind of were reintroduced to the long drive world. Can you kind of just lay out your journey with golf for us?
Yeah. So I come from a very athletic family. My dad played professional baseball in the Cardinals organization. My brother was a national champion wrestler in college, and he would have probably made the Olympic team. He blew out his knee 2 months before the trials in '84. I believe it was '84. That was a long time ago. But yeah, so I grew up playing baseball, and I wrestled a little bit, and I was always really athletic, kind of tall, wiry, threw really hard, threw in the low to mid 70s. That's kind of where Fast Eddie came from. So always had a lot of speed, always had a lot of arm speed, bat speed, foot speed, and pretty much did everything fast. So kind of if you're Eddie and you're somewhat fast at something, you become Fast Eddie, right? Like Paul Newman in The Hustler. So that's kind of where it came from. And playing baseball as a kid, loved it, loved competing. I still have a ton of friends from my Little League days, that I still talk to. So kind of fell in love with golf. I grew up on a little par 60 municipal golf course in Connecticut. And I started taking it seriously about 12, 13 years old. And after my all-star season, when I was 13, I decided to just pursue golf and put everything into that. I just figured, you're accountable for whatever you do. There's no politicization or whatever word that would be. Nobody can choose you for something, or nobody can't choose you, or whatever you shoot, you shoot. And that's what I loved about it. And you earn everything you get in this sport, and if you play well, you get paid as a professional. If you don't, you don't play well, you don't. So that's kind of where it started. And I was ultra competitive. My parents never had to, say, hey, you need to go practice. So I was always out the door until dark every single day. And even in the wintertime, I think my neighbors thought I was nuts, shoveling snow off the golf course and hitting balls in 10-degree weather and stuff. So I look back at it now, I'm like, yeah, I was kind of nuts, but that's, I did things that kids my age, weren't doing. And I think that's why, one of the reasons I was successful in high school and won a state championship and helped lead our team to a state championship. We had a great team in high school as well. Hall of Fame in high school, Hall of Fame in college, won 5 Division I tournaments, and turned professional Thought it was going to be a little bit easier journey than it was, and came close to making it on tour and won a ton of mini tour events, and just never got over the hump. And it was it's a humbling sport. When you can play well for 11 and a half months a year out of the year, if you don't play as well, you have to play well now. There's so many good players, and you can't just go to PGA Tour qualifying, or now it's Corn Ferry, and just play okay. You have to, you have to play well. There's just the talent pool is so deep in golf right now. And I had this conversation with a couple of guys last week. I said, it's funny. Let's just say I'm ranked 2,500th in the world right now, right? If I went out and played Dustin Johnson, I could beat him in 18 holes, right? I mean, I've shot 62, 63 this year. I go out and I play well, I could actually beat him. But if you get any other sport, like let's just say swimming or track or tennis, you get the 2,500th ranked player in the world versus Rafael Nadal or, Michael Phelps, they wouldn't even sniff it. Right. Yeah. So that's just, it's really an incredible sport to be a part of. And I'm just blessed. I'm healthy and get to play it and get to play it at a fairly high level as I'm getting older. So,
yeah. What was the lifestyle like down when you were in like the mini tours and Q school back then? It's, a bit of a grind.
Yeah, I mean, it was staying at the Ritz-Carlton and eating steak and lobster every night.
Yeah.
Getting picked up in a Bentley. It's kind of, every day.
The luxury, yeah.
Yeah, the life of luxury. No, it's a grind, and the cool thing about it is, playing in mini tour events. I just started playing again, and some of the golf courses are just, are not very good. And then I kind of sit back and I look at the condition of the golf courses compared to some of the other golf courses that I've played at tournaments. And I'm like, wow, it's extremely different. And it's humbling because, you cut your teeth on, kind of dog tracks, and, the rough is awful, and you don't get really, if you hit it off the fairway, normally they play it up in the fairway because the fairways aren't that great, and just the conditions of the golf courses and the greens but that's what toughens you up. I think that's what gives you a thicker skin, and if you can play on conditions like that and play well and just kind of look past the condition, and everybody's got to play the same conditions in the golf course, and I think that's the thing that sets you apart, and that's what makes you mentally tough, and your attitude. My attitude has gotten so much better from when I played before. I've gotten to know some tour players and just talking to them about attitude and acceptance and things like that. And that's really changed my outlook and the whole scheme of things. So it's pretty cool.
How has your attitude changed, would you say, from back when you're trying to make it then to now?
I think I'm way more accepting of shots, of marginal to bad shots. I got to spend a few days with Bryson last year at the Arnold Palmer Invitational on the range, and just walking up and down. I know some tour players, Jason Day. I was talking to him and a few other guys, and I'm watching them hit balls, and they're not perfect. They're hitting a few fat, and they're hitting some right, and they're hooking some drivers, and and I'm just watching. If you watch a tour player, I think the one thing that I've really noticed from watching golf on TV to comparing to like being inside the ropes and following one of my friends on tour is they don't hit it great every hole or all the time. It's when you watch it on TV, it gives a completely different like spectrum of, you think that, they make every 20 footer and, they don't miss a putt inside of 10 feet and, they hit every fairway. That's just, they cut to all those shots and those show. And I think that's unfair to the golfing public, because everyone thinks that, if you ask a normal player, and I was even this way when it said, what do you think the percentage is from, from 20 feet, I would have said, I don't know, probably 40, 50%, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Or a year ago now. And it's like 18%.
Yeah.
They make less than 1 out of 5 on perfect greens.
Yeah.
And just knowing that, I'm like, okay, well, why are you stressing over a 20-footer? Like, you're going to make less than 1 out of 5. So just pick the line, and just focus on speed. And that's the one big thing about, accepting marginal or not so great shots. I think you kind of hit it, find it, and go hit it again, as simple as that is to say. So, but yeah, I think that's the whole thing with the attitude. Just kind of staying even keeled and taking one shot at a time.
Making me feel better about the 1% of putts I hit from 20 feet away.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. I'll remember that the next time I'm shooting 95.
Dylan, did you want to ask about Bryson? I saw your eyes glow when you brought Bryson up.
Yeah.
I saw you smiling, Dylan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just very curious to know a little bit more about like what you think of his approach to the game. What your insights are to what he's been doing with just being able to like, push himself, his body, his swing to like the next level and see it. Like, is it, do you think it's going to end up being successful? Do you think he's going to be able to kind of push golf in the direction of everyone's getting 200-mile-an-hour ball speed? People are driving it like 380 consistently. Or do you think like there's still so much else to the game that, it only goes so far?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, just hanging with Bryson and talking to him, and he's picking my brain, and we're talking about speed and power and characteristics of length. He's definitely pushing it to the limit. I think it's really cool. And it's really unfortunate for World Long Drive too, that it got shelved this year, just from a competitive standpoint, because it really blew up. I mean, there were tour players reaching out to me, and Kyle Berkshire obviously spent some time with Bryson as well. And the cool thing is that it really brought speed and power to the forefront. Just because you hit a 380 doesn't mean you're going to go out and shoot 63 every time. I mean, that's just not going to happen. It just gives you, if you drive it well, like if I drive it well, it makes it way easier to shoot 65. You obviously still have to make putts and have to, hit wedges and things like that, and still hit golf shots. But when I drive it well, it's, it makes golf courses a lot easier, hitting mid to short irons into par fives, and from a Champions Tour aspect, I'll be hitting short irons and wedges into par fives if I hit it like I know I can drive it. So
yeah,
wow.
I think he when he lets it go, I don't think you have to be 245 or 250 to hit it far. Mm-hmm. I think when I'm swinging normally, like we even talked about this, when I'm swinging 130 club speed, 195 ball speed, that's my stock driver on the golf course. That's plenty long. But I know I've got 203, 204, 205 in the bag. If I have a green light wide open, just let it eat. So, and, I can carry it another, 20, 25 yards. And if I hit it well, it's going 390, 400, especially on those conditions. So I think, I saw an interview with him. He said he wants to get up to maybe a playing speed of 207 to 210 average. I just think, I don't know. I think that's a little high in my opinion, just because I've been doing it for 7 years and I know the spin rates, and I know how hard it is to keep that ball on the golf course. If you're off just a little bit, you're swinging at 210 on the golf course, you're going to fly it 380. If you hit it well, you hit it offline a little bit, it's not going to be in play most of the time.
Yeah.
So I think I tested a bunch of stuff playing, and I've got like 3 different speeds when I play. I've got a little 190 mile an hour grip down baby cut that I can hit. 195 stock and 200 plus when I'm getting after it, and I don't feel like I'm stressing a lot. Like Bryson's 200 ball speed and my 200 ball speed look like night and day. I mean, he's really expending a lot of energy. I call it, like I was talking to a Canadian PGA Tour player yesterday, TT Crouch, who I just spent some time with, and I said he goes, "You have effortless power," and that's what we talked about. He goes, and that's exactly what I'm aiming for, effortless power, where Bryson is more powerful effort. So, and that's just, and it has nothing to do with, or it has everything to do with just rhythm and timing. And he's just brute strength, just absolutely mashing it, which, it works for him, right? He's won 7 times US Open champion. Yeah. If he wants to push the limits, why not push it as far as he can? And if he's successful doing that, then all power to him, but if it doesn't, he can always back it off. And that's what I tell people. Like, he sent me a text, he goes, "How to get my low end up?" I said, "Well, get your high end up. If you can swing it 210 miles an hour, it's like chipping a driver at 195. That's kind of how I feel. Tour players ask me, what I feel. And, it's, if you get your high end up, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, so it's almost like my stock 7-iron's 192. So if I have to hit a little 180-yard 7-iron into the wind, it's basically hitting just a smooth driver, just a little 3/4 driver, basically. Right. So, and that's kind of the huge benefit to that. I can hit a straighter and things like that. But from the question you asked, I think he's just going to keep going, because he's insanely fast right now. And if he can keep it in play, then the guys are going to have to chase him. And if they do some equipment, back off the equipment a little bit, or kind of change the ball or whatever, it's still going to benefit him, because you can't roll back athleticism, and you can't roll back speed. So if you're going to train your body to swing faster and move faster, then the guys that are on the lower end of the spectrum on speed, then they're just going to suffer greatly.
Yeah. Totally. So you mentioned training there, and you talked a bit about the sort of effortless power you have. And I wanted to ask you about your training. The main question I have is, at 50 years of age, how do you stick with these young guys? But more specifically about your training, how much of it is dedicated to just general fitness and staying just in great shape overall? And how much is dedicated to like your actual swing motion, increasing your speed and things like that?
So, great question. I don't really train for speed anymore. I mean, I've done all that. I don't need to swing any faster than 205. I can if I want to. If I grab my long drive driver, probably can get up to 210, 211 if I really wanted to. There's no need to. I don't even know what the state of long drive is, and starting to play again, and hopefully get some Champions Tour starts and Monday qualify for some events and playing some other events. I'm focused on playing, getting it in the hole. So there's no need for me to get out there and gas it up, so to speak, and try to swing it, 215, 218, like I was, in 2018 and 19. So, but I've put all the work in for that. So now it's just flighting it. And it's funny, because when I'm just swinging normally and guys are on the range and they're just watching me hit balls, like, it just looks effortless. And they look at the numbers, are like 197 ball speed. That's insane, right? It doesn't even look like you're swinging at it. So I think what I do in the gym, I train on my feet a lot with pure motion equipment. I bought some of the equipment that I train in my garage. One of my good buddies, Jeff Flagg, who is the strength and conditioning coach down at the Bears Club in Jupiter. So we do virtual training. I've been training this way for a long time. So I know exactly what to do. I train like an athlete. I'm not just doing, bench and squat and this and
curls,
but I train on my feet. And I train like an athlete. I move like an athlete. I do a lot of movements that are similar to the golf swing, rotationally. Like, there's a mopping bar device that, you're basically mopping the floor, which absolutely just rips up your core and your engine.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. You know, some of the movements that Pure Motion, it's PURMOTION.net. I do not get paid by them. I just think the equipment's incredible, and it's one of the reasons why I've been so successful and healthy at 50 years old. So it's that's the cool part of the training that I do. And what I tell a lot of people is, I get asked this a lot. People reach out through social media and they're like, do you spend a lot of time in the gym? And, for speed, did you gain any, a lot of speed from working in the gym? I said, well, that's part of it. I said, the only way, so people think that, you go to the gym and you do this and you work out, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, you're going to get faster on the golf course. No, the only, in my opinion, what's worked for me is you have to swing the golf club fast. And by swinging, you've got to train by swinging it faster. And just by, you're not gonna lose weight eating 20,000 calories a day, right? You're not gonna gain weight by eating 1,000 calories a day. So you've got to do the things, necessary to gain speed. And if you're at 170 miles an hour ball speed, and your goal is to get to 180, well, if you're not swinging the golf club, 185, 186, you're not going to get there. If you're at 170 and you do no swing speed training and you're just working out in the gym, you're never going to get to 180 ever. So you've got to go above and beyond. You've got to train your body to move fast swinging a golf club and get used to that and just kind of unlock that speed and potential of your body.
Yeah. So when I'm at the driving range, just swinging it as hard as possible, slicing them 50 yards, I'll say Eddie Fernandes told me to swing hard. I'm training for speed. All right, perfect.
And that's the whole thing, guys. It's about intention. If you're swing speed training, then train for speed. I've worked with tour players, and I'm like, are you going to swing at it, or are you just going to kind of just puff it out there a little bit? So I'm kind of hard on them a little bit, but
I love it.
if you're training for speed, I want you to fall off balance. I want you to move faster. Train your body to move faster. Then we can always back it off. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I figured it out. My swing coach, Lucas Wald, who I still work with, phenomenal, so smart. And we worked on a few things, and people are like, yeah, I got speed sticks, and I'm like, well, and they asked my honest opinion. And after working with Lucas, I'm like, well, hey, let me ask you a question. So real quick story. So I'm doing Danny Werfel's event up at 96 Heisman Trophy winner. I've done his event for the last several years and raising money at his charity. So one of the guys that kicked for Florida, Judd, he so funny. He comes up to me and goes, I couldn't wait to see you this year. I just got the speed sticks. My goal is to gain some speed. And he goes, what do you think? And I'm like, you want my honest opinion? Yeah. So I basically said, look, Judd, because he won the Lou Groza Award in whatever it was, 91 or 90 or something like that. Best place kicker in the country, played in the NFL. And I said, Judd, if you, let's just say and I gave him one example. I said, if your max field goal was, let's say 53 yards. And I said, you want to extend that to 60. Let's just say you want to say, look, I want to be able to kick it from 60. I said, would you practice? I said, would you train for that by kicking it absolutely nothing, air, as hard and powerful as you can? He goes, well, no. He goes, I'd probably hyperextend my knee. I said, exactly. Yeah. I said, you look at every sport, if you just swing at air, or, baseball players, they're not these power hitters. They're not swinging at nothing. The body needs a bracing effect, and you need to hit something in order for, the body needs to brace up when it hits it. If you're swinging at nothing, it's just, I've seen guys get hurt using those things, even like swinging that. And I used to do it. My elbows would kind of get sore, and it's like, man, I do think they're good for people who swing it really slow, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, who want to kind of feel a little bit more explosiveness. But when you're a higher level player, PGA Tour player, I think it's way more detrimental than it helps. And I think it messes with the sequence. And I just don't, once I stopped using them, I got way better.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on it. So
Yeah.
I just think you look at other sports, boxing, you know, you want to be more powerful. You're not going to swing at nothing, right? So you got to hit something.
Right.
So, and that's the whole premise behind how I train. I have a system, my own system, that hopefully going to come to market by the end of the year. So.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
I'll need
That's
that
pretty cool.
because I'm driving the ball about
Yeah, I need
250 and my best shots. Speaking of, first of all, thanks so much again for joining us. Really appreciate the time. These stories and just hearing all your insights are absolutely awesome. And there's a few questions that I wrote down that I just like absolutely have to get to, just out of personal curiosity. The first one being that the difference between my shots, my bad shots, which is just absolutely horrific and just like dribble off the tee, I just absolutely top them, and my good shots, which are just mediocre at best, like maybe 250 driving it, is pretty dramatic. With you regularly just hitting the ball incredibly far, can you feel the difference between when you absolutely crush a ball and when you just regularly crush a ball? Do you feel it right away, or what's the like noticeable difference?
Yeah, for sure. I can tell by the flight of the ball. I know exactly where I hit it. I know the spin rates of the ball pretty much in a certain vicinity. If I hit it a little off the toe or a little off the heel, the bottom of the club, top of the club. Yeah. So I know I have a good idea of where it's going to go just by the flight of it and by the feel of it coming off the face. So when I absolutely munch one, it's, you know, the thing just goes up like a laser beam and just keeps rising. It doesn't do one of these because that's too much spin, but it just, when it takes off on a flatter plane, it's you know, I just know it's gone.
Besides munch one, that term.
Yeah, munch one is awesome.
Yeah,
I don't munch
like that a lot
very often, so it's going to be difficult to fit in my vocabulary. But when I do, I munched it.
I munched that. So you're mentioning some of those metrics like spin rate, speed, stuff like that. What are are those the primary two that you're focusing on? Are there any others that, you know, you got the connected to the TrackMan, whatever it is that you're trying to, you know, get in the right zone?
Yeah, so I know exactly where I want my launch conditions to be. I want to launch it somewhere around a normal driver, somewhere around 11 or 12 degrees. So the way it takes off. Spin rates around 2,300, which is a little bit higher than long drive, just from a playing aspect. The more you spin it, the more you can kind of control it. The less spin, the more it'll knuckle and kind of go offline a little bit. But that's why when you watch long drive on TV, you know, we're not hitting the grid every single time because we're using 2, 3, 4 degree drivers, and you know, those things are tough to hit. But the conditions, the spin rates, the one thing that really, obviously, if you hit it in the center of the face, that's the best. That's where you're going to hit your farthest. And you know, when you hit a little bit on the bottom, but spin rates really affect distance. Like if I swing 140 miles an hour and I spin it 3,200 RPMs, it might fly, you know, 330. Whereas if I swing at 140 and my spin rates are 2,200, that'll probably fly 370. So there's quite a bit of difference in how far the ball goes, just because of spin rates and launch angles and stuff like that. So.
And that's why you have those like insanely stiff shafts, right? Those like triple X shafts and like just so it doesn't flip on you.
Yeah, some guys are using a little bit softer shaft. I went to a softer shaft last year. I had a little right elbow or left elbow tendonitis and wrist going on at the World Championships, so I used a little bit softer shaft, which was a little bit easier on my elbow and wrist. But I've hit it. It's okay. I think it's a lot tough. Definitely spins more because I've tested it against my other shafts. And but if you hit it well, you're definitely going to get more speed out of it. And if you hit it in the right spot, it's definitely going to go a little bit farther. So I think some guys have been, and Kyle Berkshire is one of the guys that has had some success with it. But it definitely feels like a noodle. I'm not a huge fan of the feel of it. But I don't want it too stiff, and I don't want it too whippy. So I kind of want it somewhere right in the middle.
Got it.
just another question that I just have to ask.
Yeah.
Something I need to know. Can you hit the ball at like normal driving ranges? Can you go to Top Golf? Like, how many balls have you hit too far that have just broken windows, or hit someone on a green that's at the end of the driving range? Like, where can you go and not get harassed or get kicked
Yeah.
out, pretty much?
So, well, I'm lucky. I'm a member at Golden Bear Club here in Windermere, Florida. So, the range is probably 380, and I go when I'm hitting driver. I kind of if it's into the wind, it's fine. But if not, I'll kind of go back in the back corner away from everybody, so I won't hit anybody on the side of the range. And there's pretty much nothing out there. There's no houses where I can hit it. But yeah, I've gotten kicked off a few ranges in my day. And Orange County National is another great. It's down here in Winter Garden, Florida. It's about 15 minutes from my house, and it's 400 yards, like a circular range. It's massive. It's like the largest range in the world, one of them. And it's just I can go on any tee box and not have to worry about hitting it, hitting anything. So we just kind of let it eat out there. If I bring some of my long drive buddies, we'll go out there and get after it a little bit.
Absolutely munch a couple.
Yes, absolutely munch a couple. I've only broken one window. That's it.
Wow.
In
that's
one window.
Less than I have.
Yeah, it was in Colorado last year, and there was this. It was a par 5. And I hammered it, but I pulled it a little bit, and I broke a window, and the guy came out. So I mean, whatever it is.
Was he impressed though? Was it like mixed? Like,
yeah, he's like,
window, but also nice drive, man.
I probably flew it 380 or 390. I mean, it's Fort Collins, Colorado, with the Kawasaki kids.
Oh, so it's
charity classic. So we get a little chuckle.
That's kind of lucky. I'd be happy if that ball through my window. Maybe get your autograph on the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't. He just wanted to get paid for, but
he wasn't having any fun with it. That's his problem.
Hey, I mean, he came up and I just apologized profusely. He goes, "I never thought my would get a broken window." I'm like, "Yeah, well, sorry."
That's great.
Yeah, the driving range here in my hometown, it's probably about like 300 to the end of it, and then there's maybe like 20 yards of trees, and then there's a green, like the fourth hole's green is right there. So you would be just absolutely harassing whoever's on the green.
It'd be like whack-a-mole. You'd just be hitting people in the head with golf balls. Everyone that's on the green.
Yeah, exactly.
But thanks so much again for joining us, Eddie. We gotta let you go eventually here, but this was just an absolute blast. Dylan and I were psyched about this all week, just to ask you these questions. You're such a interesting, cool person to talk to.
I have a quick question as well.
No worries. We got a few minutes. Yeah.
So I'm, hovering around like 7-8 handicap, pretty average golfer. If we played against each other and I had my full set of clubs, and you were playing with just your 3-wood, how many strokes do you think you'd beat me by?
If I just played with my 3-wood, no putter, nothing?
Just 3-wood.
Oh man, that's a great question. I may not beat you. I don't know.
Oh, no, you'd beat him.
You got bunker shots with the 3-wood, and
that's
putting
true.
with a 3-wood, chipping, pitching. Short par 3s. I mean, I can hit my 3-wood probably 330 or 340 if I needed to, but
I think you'd beat Dylan. I can't even hit my 3-wood off the tee normally. So if you give me a 3-wood and a 60-degree wedge, well then yes,
it's over.
I'm pretty confident. But maybe just a 3-wood. You have to do everything with a 3-wood.
Yeah. Which singular club could you play with that I could potentially beat you with? I feel like 3-wood, only putter.
No.
If you only had a putter, you're driving with a putter.
Yeah, putter.
Yeah, putter 3-wood.
I would say from how far? How long is the golf course?
How about how long is the putter?
Normal, like 6,500.
I think anything from, if I had one club, I think 4-iron, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wedge.
Oh, yeah, irons you would
50-degree wedge.
You'd be
60 and 55 and 60. And maybe if just one club, 60 degrees, not far enough.
That's
putter and driver and 3-wood probably.
I mean, how far, when you're just like, if you were really loading up on a 60-degree wedge, what's the normal yardage on that?
I mean, if I really went after it, probably 120 yards.
Okay. Yeah.
125 yards. I mean, that's max. I mean, that's when I'm playing, I don't really like to hit it past 80, 85, 90 yards max.
Yeah.
Just to control the flight and kind of the spin and everything. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I follow Kyle Berkshire on Instagram and always see his like, I played this hole today. It was great. Here's the clubs that I hit and how far I hit them. And it'll be like, I hit driver 380 yards on a par 5, and then I hit my 60-degree wedge and I made an eagle. And I was like, that is just a different sport than I will ever play.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to get him to, I would love to see him play in some tournaments.
Yeah.
He's, because you can, there's no substitution for playing, getting a card in your pocket and playing in tournaments. So, but yeah, I think he got some backlash from that 260 yard 60-degree wedge because he bladed it 260, which is
actually see
impressive as hell, right? But he's on TrackMan. It was like 260 yards, just completely bladed it, just
my God.
Almost like a 2-iron, right?
Like a stinger.
So he swung out of his butt, and
that's crazy.
Hit 260. Guys, like, well, I usually do that out of the bunker, and
exactly.
But, I mean, it's impressive, but it's kind of funny.
One last question. I noticed you use the hashtag better with age, hashtag better with age.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me like that's a huge missed opportunity to not have any wine sponsors. If you notice,
I know, right? And
this podcast,
I'm married to an Irish girl. I'm married to a 100% Irish girl. So having a wine sponsor, better with age, I think it would be good. I think she would benefit more from it.
We, as you know, this Meat Sports Alcohol, name of the podcast, we'll be talking with some wine experts over the next few months. We could, pitch you to them.
And I'm a wino. I really love wine too. So
I can't say we can make it happen because we definitely can't, but we can try our best, and we'll get back to you.
We will work tirelessly to get you a wine sponsor. We will make that promise. Right
or what about Deep Eddy vodka?
Ooh, that's good too. I like that.
That's a pretty good play on the name, right? Fast
Eddy,
I
like that a lot.
Eddy.
Fast Deep Eddy. I love it.
All right, well, we'll get started on that. We'll get started on that right after the episode. Again, you can find Eddie Fernandes at FastEddie480 on Twitter and Instagram. You can also visit his website at fasteddy400.com. Is there anything else you'd like to plug before we end this?
No, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having on me.
Yeah, this was a blast.
It's fun. Always enjoy everybody reaching out and getting the story out there and getting ready to have some fun. So
yeah. Good luck with your upcoming season. Good luck with everything that you're doing.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
You got it. Have a good one.